maybe different people work a different way. There is a different dynamic with other people, and that's what makes that's the beauty of this of us
Well,
as
just even the
humans.
fact
It's
that
like
she
we're
answered
different.
the question on your behalf, I mean, that was like an
No, I
extremely
was
like
just saying like
directed question towards you, and you know, like I said before, it seems like there's some sort of manipulation sometimes. Her sort of telling you how you feel. When I was asking you, like genuinely, could this be it? You know, so like you don't even have to answer the question. It's just something to keep on your mind.
Guys, things just keep on getting worse and worse and worse for Larry Wills, man. He's been getting clowned across the internet time and time again. And it's gotten to a point where he went on Clavicular's stream and Clavicular ended up becoming his therapist. We're going to dive deep into it and actually understand what's going on. I'll be giving my reaction as we go on as well. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think of this. Make sure to like and subscribe as well.
Maybe you kind of feel this as well, that she's kind of telling you how you feel and telling you that you're okay with things, and just it feels a little bit like almost manipulative. Do you get that vibe ever?
I don't get that vibe, because if I genuinely wanted to befriend a female outside of a business dynamic, I wouldn't, because for one, I've never been in that position where I wanted to befriend a female that there was no opportunity for us to do business together in any capacity for the sake of just being her friend, being a friend. Like if that was the case, like I'd probably have the intention to fuck her. Like it wouldn't be on some let's just grab a coffee and grab a bite to eat. It would just be like, well, I think you're hot. Let's like there wouldn't really be like there wouldn't be it would be malicious intent. Like I just can't see myself ever being in that position unless there was like a business dynamic.
Yeah, there's really no reason to ever be friends with a female.
You know.
It's ridiculous. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, like, you know, it is a little bit outrageous.
Now, as you guys can see, right, it's coming as if though Larry Wills is very, very, very uncomfortable. You know, like throughout this entire interview, I'm even gonna make the screen smaller so you guys can even see it just a bit more in depth. But you can see that the guy is very, very much
To have like
uncomfortable, man. Like he's getting asked certain type of questions that maybe he just doesn't feel comfortable kind of answering, but because of all the allegations and all these type of things coming out in the light, he feels as though he has kind of no choice. Do you know what I mean? It's even gotten to a point where I just generally believe that with Larry Wills, he was actually very much content with being, you could say, the, you know how you got the leader and then the follower within a relationship. I understand that, of course, people say relationships or partnerships, etc. I do believe to an extent, but at the end of the day, you need someone that's going to be, you know, steering the wheel and someone in the passenger seat. That's just how life basically works, right? And teams work as well. I generally believe that he was very much content being the person, the passenger, and his missus was the, you could say, person driving the relationship. Like he was perfectly content with that, especially with all the allegations coming out. Allegedly, you know, he was, in fact, I've even made a video on it. He had porn addiction and was paying a lot of escorts. He would also want the escorts to be doing quite a lot of questionable things, you could say. Stuff that, you know, you wouldn't really expect someone of his stature to basically be into. But hey, I'm not here to judge sexual preferences and things like that. Every man for himself, right? But when it comes to him and his missus, it even makes sense as to why the other day, you know, the guy felt as if though it was okay to speak to Larry Wall's wife in a certain type of way because he's heard that, you know, she's up to practically no good and both of them are up to no good. But still no excuse anyway. Let's get back into it and you guys can just basically see what's going on, man.
a male friendship. The only man really that should be in your life at this point is your father, your brother, and Larry. You know, so
well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
so
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you can clearly see that Larry Will says, look, he doesn't need any female friends. Clav then says, okay, with you being the wife, if that's the case for Larry Wills, then it shouldn't it be mutual? Shouldn't it be the same thing? Then she says, nah, I disagree. You see later on in the video, she now starts talking about the fact that she doesn't feel comfortable with him having female friends, but it's okay for her to have male friends. Guys, like, what's going on right now, man? What's actually going on? It doesn't make any sense.
I sort of feel like, and I think you're gonna sort of agree with me here, is that you love your wife so much that sometimes you're not willing to put your foot down and say things that you don't like. And that's really good that you feel so passionately about her. That means the relationship is good. The attraction's there, and I'm very happy for you about that. But I think you're so worried about losing her sometimes that you're sort of losing yourself, and you're losing.
But I think you're also looking just stuff from
And this is what I'm saying, like, he's asking a direct question to Larry Wills, and his missus just decides to just jump in. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel uncomfortable when I'm trying to get a point across and people just jump in, whether it's someone, a significant other, whether it's a friend, etc. It's just not good manners. You know what I mean? Like, let the guy speak. The question was for him. It wasn't for you. Like, it's for him. You know what I'm saying? Because, and this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm not someone that's red pill or anything like that. And a lot of the time I don't even agree with what Clavicular says, but one thing that I will never ever take away from Clavicular is that, look, he's a young, intelligent man, knows how to articulate himself, and knows how to ask the right type of questions, obviously, when he's trying to be really serious. Of course, when he's clip farming, he then does the mad thing, do you know what I mean? Which I don't agree with, but everyone needs to get to the back. He's making like over 100k per month, so yeah, good on him, do you know what I mean? In saying that, though, if it was a reciprocal kind of thing, where, for example, he asks her a question and he's not answering it, you would have all sorts of people on the internet now saying that, look, like, why are you answering on behalf of her? Why can't she speak? Da, 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 da. So it just kind of shows you the imbalance that we are actually at when it comes to just modern society, when it comes to modern relationships as well, and in this situation in particular. Now, I'm not here to judge it. I'm just basically here to just show you guys what's going on. You guys make your decision down below in the comment section. But I know for myself, when I get married, that is not going to run. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to run. I'm more of a traditional type of person. I just generally believe that there needs to be some sort of level of respect between you two. Doesn't necessarily mean that, a man is going to now take away all the rights from a woman. And I don't believe in that either. Do you know what I'm saying? But there needs to be some sort of level of respect. When it's time for the lady to speak, let her speak. When it's time for the man to speak, let her speak. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's crazy right now, guys.
your perspective, how you would. I don't think you really look at things objectively. I think that's the problem here. You look how you would act in a situation that you're in. You don't understand that, like, we
No,
are
I'm not.
different
I'm not
people.
even trying to put myself into his
But
shoes or
I feel like you
insert
come a
myself
lot
in any
just
way.
like from your perspective. I feel like, okay, you're set in your way, and like you hear what we're saying, but you're not really like processing it in a way to understand, like, okay, like maybe different people work a different way. There is a different dynamic with other people, and that's what makes that's the beauty of this of us
Well,
as
just even the
humans.
fact
It's
that
like
she
we're
answered
different.
the question on your behalf. I mean, that was like an
No, I
extremely
was
like
just saying, like,
directed question towards you, and like I said before, it seems like there's some sort of manipulation sometimes. Her sort of telling you how you feel. When I was asking you, like, genuinely, could this be it? So like, you don't even have to answer the question. It's just something to keep on your mind.
And it just goes to show that sometimes you don't necessarily need to be, an old person in order for you to actually have some sort of level of wisdom, you know? Because a lot of people will now say, for example, okay, why is Clavicular speaking on this subject matter, etc.? The guy's like 20 years old. Larry Wills, if I'm not mistaken, he's like touching 30 or around 30. So technically speaking, an old man should, or older man, right? Because 30 isn't necessarily old, but an older man should be able to be in a position where at least he's emotionally mature enough to understand that this is the case, and should kind of already be aware of these type of things. But that's what you think, but it's just not the case. It's not the case within society. We're in a society where, it's not necessarily cool, right? It hasn't necessarily been cool for men to kind of stick their own ground and actually understand what's going on, etc. And to understand the type of things that can actually happen, bro. This is just clear manipulation. And I generally believe that, for example, if it was forgive me, I don't know his missus name, right? But if it was in reverse, right, we'll be saying the exact same thing. We'll be saying that, bro, Larry Rose is very, very controlling over his wife, and I would even go as far as to say that, bro, it will make public headlines. We wouldn't hear the end of it. It will be a case of, oh, he's see like bare TikToks and stuff like that. So the fact that someone like Larry Wills, who is supposed to be someone that has it all, you know? He's ripped, he's jacked, he's, you know, the top 1%, you know, making money, etc. And he's still making the same mistakes that just regular people be making. It just goes to show how cooked we actually are, bro. It just goes to show how cooked we actually are. Do you get what I'm saying? It's actually mind games, bro. Mind games. And I just hope, especially for the young men like watching this, including myself, like we don't end up in situations like this, because it just makes no sense. Do you get what I'm saying? Even me making content about this, like, usually I wouldn't even be the type to make content about this, but I just generally believe in a situation like this, we kind of need to be aware of what's going on, because if not, we're going to end up like a Larry Rose and then end up becoming depressed in the future and be like, oh, if only I knew, if only I had access to this information. Da, 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 da. It's times like this, when you know Clavicular's right, and when you know a lot of these red pill guys are right, that's when you know that it's bad. That's when you know it's bad. Let's get into it though.
Like, maybe you are just scared of navigating things wrong and losing the thing that you love, and that's very understandable. I don't think that anyone should fault any man for having that sentiment, because that makes you human, right? That makes you extremely human. Someone who's not a psychopath, and someone who's deeply in love. So, you know, I admire you for that, and I hope, you know, you're able to sort of cultivate this relationship going forward in a way that just makes sense as much as possible for you. So, like, you don't have to say exactly how you feel or exactly what you want on the internet, but just going forward, sort of, I'm just hoping maybe you could keep some of this in the back of your head so that you're looking out for sometimes some of these different tactics that are being used, you know? So, just going forward, it's always good to have that on your subconscious.
Mm-hmm. And I'm standing on this hill where I say, like, I genuinely do not have an issue since the beginning with her being in contact with a male friend that was many years before my time. And that's that. You know, and maybe many here in the chat that I can see them spamming, I'm a bitch, I'm on a leash or whatever, probably people that aren't even in a relationship themselves, trying to tell me, a married man, happily married by the way, like that I'm X, Y, and Z and I should behave this way. But
And yeah, I'm not for parasocial relationships, but we can clearly see that, bro, like, he is on a leash, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, look, here's my opinion, yeah? I feel as if, though, if it's a case where both of you agree that, look, you both have friends that you don't want to leave behind from before, that's a decision that obviously the couple's basically going to make. But 9 times out of 10, you know, in these type of situations, unless you were in, like, I don't know, primary school, you grew up, anything before, like, university or college, right? Like, you grew up together. Like, that person sees you as a brother or a sister, etc. And it was that type of dynamic, or you met in church, or just something very, very, you could say, innocent in nature, right? Outside of that, a lot of the time, like, let me pose the question like this, right? If this male friend was to now, if she basically went to the male friend and was like, okay, cool, like, Larry's messing up, let's do our thing, you know what I mean? Let's smash. Unless the male friend is like, you know what I mean, on the other side, broski, 9 times out of 10, he's going to do it. That's not what I call a friend, bro. That's not a friend. It's not a friend. You're not friends unless it's a case where you both understand inherently that, yo, you're not going to be on that type of games. You know what I'm saying? And I just generally believe that, bro, married people need to just be together with married people. Married men need to be with married men. It was even the other day, I was at, like, a conference or, like, a gathering, right? Because obviously in the future, I know some people in the comments are going to be like, oh, bro's blue pill, you should get married and that. But, bro, man wants a family, innit? I want to get married and that. Do you get what I'm saying? In the future, God willing, anyways. And I went to, like, a marriage kind of convention kind of thing, just full of black men. And I was very, 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 like, happy to see a group of well over 100 black men. A majority of them were married. Like, they were together with their missus, happy, obviously going through the issues, trying to understand, okay, how do you guys navigate it, etc. That is the type of environment I feel as if, though, you need to be in if this is something that you basically want to do. If it's not something you want to do, there should be no reason as to why you're bringing your marriage type of situation to single people. And when you do that, and when you bring it on the internet as well, you then open up for criticism for people like, for example, myself, that I'm not even married, but obviously I have an opinion on it. I'm pretty sure you guys have opinions on it as well. That's why you clicked on this video. You know what I mean? So just stick to the people that you need to seriously stick to. Be in the appropriate kind of spaces. Larry Rose, it's not necessarily looking good for him, man. I just hope that he's able to realize it. And I just hope as well, because he didn't sign a prenup, I just hope that, you know, she doesn't do him dirty and stuff like that, because we've seen it, like that whole situation of divorce ruin men, bro. Like, it's peak. It's very, very peak, you know, and I generally believe that. I don't know. What do you guys think about prenups, man? It's a very interesting topic. Let me know down below anyways. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you like any of my takes or anything like that. I'll also see you guys in the next video. Peace.